Hello, I'm here with Louis DiCongilio at the Pride Walk of Sarasota, put on by Project Pride SRQ. And so you are on the governance board for Project Pride?
That's correct, I am.
And what does Project Pride do? I know I've heard a lot about them, but what all do they do in the community?
Well, our mission and vision address issues that we feel are important to the gay, the LGBTQ plus community. We want to celebrate and unify and perhaps create an umbrella organization that other organizations can join with us to support the greater good.
And it seems like you guys have actually made a lot of headway in recent times. I mean, in addition to this event, what are some other really cool things that you have planned or that you've seen come to fruition?
Well, earlier today we were at the farmers market and we were able to celebrate our existence and introduce a lot of people in Sarasota to us. Many of them didn't know about us. We have a pet parade tomorrow, and it'll be a competition, so we're looking forward to that. And of course tonight, commemorating the souls we lost, 49 souls we lost. So, but we've been able to direct our energies now to celebrating and unifying the LGBTQ community, because it's been here, it's been disenfranchised, it's been a little scattered. So we're trying to bring it all together.
That's awesome, and I think you guys are doing a great job. And tonight's obviously a really important night, being the 5th anniversary of the tragic event that occurred at Pulse. Why do you think it's so important for us to, even here in Sarasota, a few hundred miles from Orlando, to still, hold the candlelight for such an event?
Well, any peoples that have been disenfranchised going throughout the decades, if you will, need to be commemorated, need to be remembered, because it's a lesson for all of us. We should never forget, and we should always remember, so that we don't make the same mistakes again. And for that person to have massacred those 49 souls is a disgrace.
I totally agree. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing in our community. We're really looking forward to tonight's event and all that you guys are going to bring out with Project Pride. Thank you.
As I am. Thank you for being here.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, I'm here with Reverend Lily Brock of the Church of the Trinity, MCC. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So could you tell us a little bit about why it's so important for you to be here tonight?
Absolutely. Obviously, the 5th anniversary of Pulse is important to all of us, and I think it's important for us to do this for the people of Orlando, for those 49 souls we lost. I think it's important for us to see all of the intersections that this kind of event has with other things we deal with, all of the other social justice things, whether it's hunger or homelessness or gun violence, in whatever ways that we see that. So communities coming together always make the difference.
I think in bringing that awareness and in making this such a commemorative event, it does, I think further solidify the importance that the LGBT community has for our community here. Yeah. What other issues do you feel are super important?
Well, as a pastor, I think it's important to note that the kinds of things that tend to happen in the LGBTQIA community, like Pulse, like that kind of violence, all the hate crimes, the transgender things that are happening to our folks, that often that hate is rooted in religion. And I'm going to shy away from saying spirituality, but to say in organized religion. Yeah. And so for our church at MCC, we think it's so important that we be here to say that is not the kind of spirituality we believe in. That God loves all of us. We all have a place. The rainbow is all about the different faces of us, and that we reflect the different faces of God in that way. So I think it's really important, because that's the root of a whole lot of it. Yeah. And so we're here to say that's not okay.
That's tremendous of you to bring that out, because that is such a huge thing, and then they kind of play off of that and say, well, it's against my religion or this or that. But then, you have a reverend here that's saying, no, that's not acceptable, and that's not what God would want.
That's right. Well, the gunman at Pulse, his hate was rooted in his religious beliefs. And so a whole lot of that comes right out of churches. So it's an uphill climb some days, but we're determined to say that is not the God we know.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for spreading your beautiful and important message. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Hello, I'm here with Jim Jablonski and Bart Coyle of the Lakewood Ranch community.
Yes.
And so it's so great you guys are out here tonight. Why do you feel it's so important that we come around to commemorate and to remember, and honor the victims of the Pulse incident?
Well, I mean, this was a terrible tragedy. 40 some folks were murdered, and 53 were injured. And it happened at, they were out having a good time. And I'm sorry. They were just having a good time, and some guy with a gun decides to come in and mass murder them. And it can happen anywhere. It's happening more and more in this country. And, obviously the gay community is a target for a lot of people. But, it's happening to other people. I mean, it just happened to a grandmother and a baby. We need to stop it.
It's unspeakable, it's unthought of. And then it happens. And it's just to even begin to fathom that could have happened. And what are your feelings on this?
Well, I share Bart's feelings as well. I mean, it was such a tragedy, but we can't forget it, and that's what tonight's about. To remember the tragedy that happened and how to prevent it from ever happening again. I mean, we all know we need sensible gun regulation, and we can't get it. We demand it every single time one of these tragedies happens, whether it's a single person or 50 people, and nothing happens. So it's so frustrating.
I was just going to say, it's very frustrating. I think it's like 85% of all people, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, want some sort of gun, control. So it is. I do think it's important what you said. That it's important that we don't forget, and we're showing our solidarity behind the LGBTQ community, which is sometimes singled out and targeted in these incidents.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what else do you think is important about, bringing awareness to the LGBT community, like locally?
Well, we lived through it. We're in our 70s. We saw us gain our freedom through a lot of activist activity. We saw the HIV terrible sickness and deaths, and a lot of the young people that have forgotten all about it or don't even know it exists or that existed. And we have to reinforce it in their minds, how good they potentially have it. Yeah. Even though there's so many people knocking us down every chance they get, but the fact of the matter is we are a lot freer than we were back in the 60s when we first met. And so the young people and people in general and the straight community as well have to understand who we are, that we're human beings. We're not after their children and their beliefs and their religion and everything else. We just want to live our lives.
Exactly, and I think we were talking about it just becoming a more inclusive society altogether. I mean, it is 2021, and that's why I found it was so important that a reverend was here tonight saying that a lot of these things sometimes stem from someone's, religious beliefs that are misconstrued, So I think that's, really...
I'd also like to say that we as older gay men and women, we have a responsibility to our young transgender community. And, it's like the next step, and they're being picked on really bad right now. And so it's up to us to be there for them and to, move their freedoms forward.
Exactly. I think that's very true. And we've got a lot more to do, but I think it's great that we're out here showing our support. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, I'm here with Mayor Hagan Brody at Pride Walk of Sarasota, put on by Project Pride SRQ. How are you tonight, Hagan?
I'm good. I'm very encouraged to see so many people out here remembering what was a tragic night back in 2016.
Absolutely. I think it's very important that we all come together and show our solidarity and not let people forget that what happened.
Yeah.
So you do a lot, I feel, for the LGBTQ community here in Sarasota. And why do you feel that's so important? I mean, obviously it is, but what's your feeling on that?
Well, it's really important that Sarasota is a welcoming community to all. We really pride ourselves on our diversity, and we want to keep encouraging and promoting more and more of it. And so, coming out to events like this and celebrating our diversity, I think is really important, and showing it in our public spaces as well.
Absolutely. So do you have any other, I mean, this is Pride Month, do you have any other things or events that you're looking forward to, or?
We have had so many great events already, and our community really knows how to celebrate these really uplifting occasions. For us at City Hall, we've taken the time to light City Hall up to commemorate the month. We've issued a proclamation, first time in the city's history, commemorating Pride Month, and we're going to be remembering the victims of Pulse here tonight.
That's awesome. We really appreciate you being out here.
Yeah, people forget this is one of the most serious domestic, really terrorism incidents we've seen on American soil, only behind September 11th and the Oklahoma City bombing. And so it's really important that we get out here, we remember the victims, the friends and families of them, and the fact that this was a targeted attack towards a disenfranchised community. And so I think, as we can see with the number of people here tonight, I think that is resonating in the community, and people are have a heightened sense of protection for the community right now.
Exactly. And I believe one of the victims from Pulse was a Sarasota resident.
Yes, he was. Eddie Sotomayor was a Sarasota resident. So obviously this memorial is close to home, even though, the whole incident happened not more than 2 hours away. So, it's just important that we stay vigilant and we stay on the forefront of fighting hate and intolerance wherever it is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here and showing your support, Mayor.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Hello, I'm here with Sandy Armstrong, a Sarasota citizen who's come out tonight. And actually, I believe you just got off of the bridge. Why were you walking the bridge, may I ask?
Well, we wanted the bridge to be rainbow colors, and for some reason, the governor, who also took away the rights of trans kids to be in sports, also the government decided we couldn't light the bridge rainbow. So we went with rainbow colors like this, and went across the bridge. Yeah, it was fun.
That's good that you did that. And why do you feel it's so important that we highlight, the importance of LGBTQ community being an all-inclusive community?
Because so many people in the LGBTQ community have not been able to keep jobs, have not been able to have housing. I think people think when gay marriage was passed that everything was done, and a lot of people all over the country can lose their jobs. As you can see, trans people are being, looked out against, and there are lots of parents who have LGBT children, and they need support. So, we just want to be part of the community and be recognized and not be afraid to be recognized. And so, with the anniversary of Pulse, was such a scary, terrible thing. It was so bad, and I just think we need to keep standing up, even though it's not easy.
I think that's amazing. It's so important. What you're saying is so true. And here we are commemorating or honoring the victims of the Pulse incident that occurred 5 years ago. It's another reason why I think it's important. And what do you feel? The importance of us gathering for that is maybe to show we're not forgetting? Or?
I think it's important to not forget.
Yeah.
I also do trauma therapy, so I was over there after Pulse and was with people who lost people, and it's pretty awful to lose somebody who just went out to go dancing. They just went out to dance, and their life was over. And you never know. You know, it happens to black people in churches.
Yeah.
It's happening to lots of minority people, and I think we all have to stand up and say, stop the gun violence, and let's all love each other.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
Exactly. It's not that hard.
Right. God loves us, and we need to love each other.
Exactly. You wouldn't think it'd be that difficult, but
It is. It is for some people,
Yeah.
and for others, it's not. And if you look at little children, it's not. And I hope that we don't have all these laws across the United States that are banning, critical race theory. That's craziness. That it's going to divide people. We just need to learn a little more about history
exactly.
and history of all people. Because I think gay people were probably around back then too.
I'm pretty positive they were. Like back in the Greek mythology, it was even then. So I mean, it's not some. I mean, we're in 2021 now, but
Yeah. And we have a lot more things to work on, climate change and all sorts of things. And so let's not fight about stuff that isn't going to hurt anybody.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and being such a great citizen and showing your support for such an immensely important cause. It's really appreciated.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm here with Dawn Honeycutt, a Sarasota citizen. How are you tonight, Dawn?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, it's so important that we're all here tonight, I feel, commemorating and honoring the victims of Pulse. Why do you feel it's so important?
I'm part of the LGBT community, and to have such a tragic event happen to my community, I took it personal.
Of course, how could you not?
Yes.
I mean, it was such a tragic and unfair thing.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Yes. It was awful.
And I think the importance of us showing our solidarity and that we're not going to forget.
Yes, absolutely. I honor them with action as often as I can. I'm a volunteer with Equality Florida, and I love Project Pride. I've been following everything they do, so I do as much as I can to honor them.
That's so important. And so many people can sit back and, click a like on Facebook, but to actually get out in the community and be here tonight is so wonderful of you.
I'm so glad the pandemic is over and it's allowing us to get back out. I volunteer for as much as I can in the LGBT community, so it's nice to finally be able to get back out and do what I like to do.
Absolutely. And what do you think, the importance of us continuing to take action? I mean, obvious there's, but we have a long way to go, right?
We do, especially with gun reform. Absolutely. There's so much to do. In the state as a whole, LGBT rights are still being violated and suppressed so much. There's so much work to be done.
I agree with you. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Dawn. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out tonight on this somber occasion where we recognize the 5th anniversary of the Pulse shooting in Orlando, Florida. My name is Jordan Letchard. I'm the president of Project Pride, and on behalf of our whole board, thank you all for coming out. At this time, I'd like to invite up Senior Pastor Lily Brock of the Trinity MCC for the invocation.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here, and I hope that you will join me in our collective understanding that often hate is rooted in religion. And we need to be here to be a force, to be a presence that says this is not the God we know. And so I hope in that spirit you will join me in prayer tonight. Holy One, all of us here today and people around the world gather to remember the 49 precious souls who were shot down at the hands of a deadly gunman at the Pulse Nightclub in Orlando, Florida. We are here to remember the friends and family of those precious souls as they continue to feel the loss and grieve the impact of this tragedy on their lives. To remember those who were injured, the ones whose bodies have been forever changed, the ones whose recovery is still in process, and the ones whose emotional pain is still palpable every single day. To remember the city of Orlando as they continue to recover from the trauma of this event that has forever changed them. God of many names, we seek every part of who you are this day, and we acknowledge that every person who died at the Pulse nightclub because of hate was a person made of your own image and reflected a part of who you are. God, help us today to never forget that the rainbow is not just a flag or a prism or even just a biblical story, but rather a reminder that every time we look in the faces of those who are different than we are, we have the opportunity to see a different part of who God is. Yahweh, above all else this day, we seek to live in ways that honor those who lost their lives on June 12, 2016 at the Pulse nightclub. Above all else, we ask that you move in the hearts and minds of our politicians who continue to support laws that encourage hate and fail to protect the ones that you have called the least of these. Above all else, we ask that you give us strength to speak up and step up and refuse to be dismissed when we say that enough is enough and gun violence has no place in your creation. Above all else, make us people who seek to be your heart in the world. Remind us every day to be bearers of hope and justice in the face of despair and injustice. Oh God, we raise our voices together today, and we speak loudly the words that echo on earth as it is in heaven. Hate tried, but love won. Hate still tries today, but love still wins. Love still wins. Thank you for the assurance, and thank you for hearing our prayers. In the name of all that is holy, in your many names, the ones we know and the ones we have yet to discover. Amen.
It's hard to imagine that 5 years of our lives have already passed. I think most of us either know someone who passed away that night, or who was a first responder, or the doctors and nurses who treated the gunshot victims when they came through. And if not, we might be 1 degree of separation removed. This rocked our entire community, not just as the LGBT community, but as a nation when it became the deadliest shooting at that time. Since then, it's continued and continued and continued. And I've spoken at a couple of memorials, and I have come away with the same philosophy. Don't count on people in Washington to keep the memories of others alive. That's what all of us are here to do. If you would imagine the pain of the families of any of those 49 that were lost and what they would do for an hour to have back with their loved ones, I think we all would imagine and could agree that we've had countless hours that we have wasted sitting on our couches at home, scrolling through social media. And so what I challenge everyone to do today for the 49 lost is think about whether you would be willing to donate 1 hour of your time for each of the 49 victims, 49 hours a year. It's about 6.5 days of volunteering for whatever cause you feel greatest in your life, whether it's the LGBTQ community, whether it's civil rights, whether it's animal protection, environmental protection, whatever it is. Help make all of these victims live on through your actions and through your deeds by donating your time through a call to action. Then you don't ever have to worry about politicians making a decision, because that power will never be taken away from you. At this time, it's an honor to bring up to the podium the mayor of Sarasota, Florida, Mayor Hagan Brody.
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan, and for everything you do for our community. That was an absolutely beautiful invocation. It's an honor to be with everybody tonight and to see so many folks coming out to remember this tragic day. I've always found there to be strength in numbers. Well, today there's strength. The numbers help us remember. The strength in numbers help us heal, and the strength in numbers help us move forward, and the strength in numbers help us continue this fight. I'm very proud to be the current mayor of the city of Sarasota on a Sarasota City Commission that is standing up and fighting for our LGBTQ community here in Sarasota and throughout the region. I feel that we have one of the most supportive commissions that we've had in recent memory, and we've taken a number of steps to make sure that everybody feels welcome and included in this community. I've said many times, coming out of COVID, it presents a unique opportunity for us to reinvent and reintegrate this community. I mean, we've been isolated, we've been separated for so long, and we want to come together, more inclusive, a tighter knit community than we ever have before. And so we're trying to show our diversity and show our inclusion in our public spaces with our statements and our proclamations to make everybody feel warm and comfortable in the city of Sarasota, as they should. But today we're here to remember 49 innocent lives that were taken not too far from here. One of those lives was a member of our community, Mr. Sotomayor. And with that, I'd like to officially recognize this as Pulse Remembrance Day with a brief proclamation. Whereas on June 12, 2016, a gunman targeted one of our diverse communities at the Pulse Nightclub in Orlando, taking 49 innocent lives and wounding 53 others. And whereas during this senseless but targeted terrorist attack on our LGBTQ and Hispanic community, here in Florida, our law enforcement, our medical personnel, and first responders demonstrated heroic courage as they risked their lives to protect and defend the victims of this fanatical shooter. And whereas the city of Sarasota stands firm with the LGBTQ and Hispanic communities in defeating hate wherever and whenever it occurs, and we continue to honor and pray for the victims, the survivors, the friends and families of the victims of this horrific tragedy. Now, therefore, I, Hagan Brody, Mayor of the City of Sarasota, on behalf of the City of Sarasota City Commission and the residents of our community, do hereby acknowledge and observe June 12th as Pulse Remembrance Day in Sarasota in recognition of the innocent lives lost on this day in 2016. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Next, I'd like to invite Ken Sheelan up, who has graciously served not only as a Sarasota City Commissioner, but also as a longtime LGBT activist in our community.
Thanks, Jordan. They shunned us. They kicked us out of our families as a disgrace. They gave us lobotomies, but we survived. They fired us from our jobs. They dishonorably discharged us from the military. They told us we were mentally ill, but we survived. They wouldn't let us live in their neighborhoods. They arrested us on morals charges. They told us the Bible said we were evil, but we survived. They made us hide from our families, our neighbors, our friends, when all we wanted to be was loved and to love. But we survived. They beat us. They murdered us in cold blood. They said we got what we deserved because we were perverted, but we survived. But we are winning, and they are losing. Demographers say that in 30 years, the majority will be a minority. They are getting desperate to stop us. We will survive, and we will thrive.
Thank you, Ken. And that's why he's so popular in this city. At this time, I'd like to invite the various community leaders and some of the nonprofit organizations who would like to speak to come and say a few words.
All right, my name is Nicholas Machuca, and I'm Equality Florida's Regional Development Officer for Sarasota and Bradenton. I want to thank you all for being here, and especially thank you to Project Pride for inviting me to speak tonight. 5 years ago today, someone walked into Pulse Nightclub with an assault rifle and an intent to murder everyone inside. He ended the lives of 49 people, the majority of whom were LGBTQ people of color, like myself, and he did this inside of what should have been a refuge for them. Like many others, this moment was an awakening for me. And 5 years have passed. That's enough time to graduate high school, to earn a college degree. It's a little more than a presidential term. And it's long enough to have gotten anything done regarding our safety and our security. But our leadership in Florida and the nation have failed. They have failed to the detriment of dozens of other victims of pervasive gun violence and vitriolic intolerance of difference. Right now, it is perfectly legal to discriminate against LGBTQ people in much of the United States. And while we may have freshly achieved newfound protections from discrimination here in Florida, we must empower our community to use those rights. We must encourage our community to demand dignity deserved. Because the fact is that while LGBTQ advocates like ourselves have worked tirelessly to create legal protections for us, conservatives have worked overtime to roll back the scant dignities that we have clawed out from the muck. We cannot go backward. I will not go backward. And confusingly, many of our most harmful attackers were elected by those who claim to love us most, our very family members. So how can somebody express their love for us one day and then vote to harm us the next? In 2021, we should not have to convince others of the value in our lives. It is not up to us to prove that we are worth saving. It is their duty to act like it. Because our life expectancy is lower than the national average. We will die earlier than we naturally would because all of these traumas, both abrupt and ongoing, add up to a physical, measurable, debilitating toll on our very existence. My time on this beautiful earth will be statistically shorter than that of my heterosexual peers because of every single indignity forced upon me and everybody like me by a society that still has so much improvement to make. So when we fight for things like secure housing, sensible gun reform, freedom to play school sports without barriers, inclusive healthcare, employment protections, freedom from discrimination, access to appropriate restrooms, proper pronouns, and the dignity to safely hold hands and dance in public, we are really fighting for the life years that have been denied to us. Because at the end of the day, these seemingly insubstantial things really are matters of our very survival. Our dignity is our survival. So for the 49 angels who were stolen from us 5 years ago, I ask you to honor them not just with words, but with action. I challenge you to consider how you can elevate, how you can dignify the lives of LGBTQ folks, Black and Latino folks, and everyone whose identities fall in between. Thank you.
Thank you to Project Pride for including Also Youth. As Jordan mentioned, I'm Mary Tavarozzi, President of the Board of Also Youth. Our mission is to empower LGBTQ youth and their allies and create inclusive communities. So we're here focusing on Sarasota and Manatee County's youth, ages 13 to 24. And, our mission is to help these young people make it through adolescence, to be able to one day grow into adulthood and hopefully find the next safe space that they will walk into for their lives. We have 2 safe spaces in Sarasota and Manatee, and it's often been said that Pulse was considered a safe space. So let's think about what it means to create inclusive communities. It should mean that every street that you walk down is a safe space, that every park you sit in, every hand you hold, you're in a safe space. So part of our mission is to help to create that, and I thank Mayor Brody and Sarasota for their support as we continue to try to build an inclusive community that's safe for our young people and our young adults. About a third of the people who died at Pulse were either still young enough to have been part of Also Youth programs or just a year or 2 removed from that age limit. So it's not enough to just get our kids through their adolescence. We have to be here with a safe community as they grow beyond into young adulthood and adulthood and make them feel safe to stay here in Florida and raise their families. Thank you.
Shannon, would you like to come up and say a few words? Shannon from Harvey Milk.
So myself and a few other organizations just marched over the bridge to light it up with folks from the community with pride flags and just to acknowledge Pride Month. So my phone actually died at Rose Beach. But I think it's so important for us to come together and to have city commissioners and such a grateful city that has been supportive and has grown over the years. I really love seeing Ken Sheelan come out with all the hard work that he's done. But I think it's important for us to just take a moment to look around and see our community members and see who showed up tonight. And take a moment to realize how important it is that we're standing right here, right now. You know, a lot of us life has us moving and going so fast, sometimes it's really hard to look around us. But I think it's important to take that time out and really look around us and see what's around us and see who's showing up and what the community really means to us, and strengthening that community by folks showing up, organizations blossoming in the community, and really seeing folks come together, especially on a night like this to honor the 49 that we lost. I know in 2016 we didn't have very much time to put together the Pulse Vigil that we had at 5 Points for the folks that were able to make it out. Was a really important and crucial time to create that moment for the community. So it's really great for the 5th anniversary to see folks come together and to create a safe space and a platform for folks to speak out and for us to realize how far we've come and also to see how much work we have to still do in our community. So I'd like to take a moment for us to all place our hands over our heart and just connect with ourselves and take that time to really feel our hearts beat. It's so important in such a fast moving world that we just lose that connection, that community focus. But to feel our hearts beat and to realize how far we have come together. And really it takes all of us to create change, to see people come together and take a stand, to honor those that we've lost over the years, and to really create change. There's a moment that we all look around and connect with one another because it's really difficult with how fast the world is moving. And I really think 2020 really gave us that viewpoint again. It helped us really reconnect with our families and folks in the community to reassess really where our focus is. So I think just taking a step back and realizing that we can do this together and we honor their lives by doing the work that needs to be done in the community, creating safe spaces, and listening to one another. Thank you so much.
Carol, I think I saw you somewhere. Carol, would you like to come up? There you go. This is Carol from P Flat.
Hi, good evening. Thank you to Project Pride SRQ for hosting us tonight. My name is Carol Miller. My pronouns are she, her, and I represent PFLAG. And I'm proud to be here with you tonight representing the many parents, friends, and allies who have supported one another for nearly 50 years and continue to do so tonight. I am so proud to be here to stand alongside you, to speak out with you, until all hearts and minds respect, value, and affirm LGBTQ plus people. Because as people, we may seem different on the outside, yet we all have one beating heart. And actually, we are more the same than different. So tonight, we realize life is precious. Yours, mine, and the lives of the people we lost tragically 5 years ago in Orlando. So all of our lives, all of us, are worthy of dignity and respect. So I thank you for your sympathy, for your help in healing, and for your remembrance. And especially thank you for offering your dignity and respect to all people every day. So as we honor the survivors and remember those that have been lost, may they rest in peace. Gracias para siempre.
Thank you very much, Carol. Neil, would you like to come up and say a couple words? Couple.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Neil McCurry. I'm the president and CEO of Sable Palm Bank. And I'm here to say that I strongly believe that businesses as well as individuals have a part to play in making this a better community. And our bank continue to strive to play a part in making Sarasota the greatest community it can be. Now, anybody that knows me knows when I'm given a microphone, I can speak for an extended period of time. And I'm not going to do that. I just want to share 3 quick points. First, about Ken Sheelan. Some nice things were said about him tonight, and he made some very great words. But what you don't know, and it's really important, that this past week, Ken was given the key to the city from the city of Sarasota. What an honor, Ken. So I've known Ken for over 20 years, and it's so deserving and really overdue. Congratulations, my friend. Second off is I just had an opportunity to meet Alton, the violin player, earlier, and one of the things our bank did, we hired him to play the lovely violin. He won't accept the payment, and he's donating the money back. And thank you for that. And I suggest that that's something we all think about, and we're going to take the money that we were going to pay him, and on behalf of Project Pride, we're going to donate it to the One Pulse Foundation Orlando for the great things they're doing. And more so, since 49 lives were lost there, Sable Palm Bank's going to donate $4,900 on behalf of Project Pride to the One Pulse Foundation. And it's an easy thing for us to do, and I would suggest everybody maybe consider joining us. And if you have an interest in playing a part, whether it's $1, $10, anything else, let myself know, and let Katie and One Project Pride Board know, and we'll pool the money and we'll present it to the One Pulse Foundation next week on behalf of Project Pride, and frankly on behalf of our community. Anyways, thank you very much, and it's a great honor to be here, and thank you again, Ken.
In a moment, we'll be reading the names of the 49 victims. If you're going to be reading a name, if you could line up on this side and one at a time.
It's with a great honor that I start with the name Eddie Sotomayor Jr. Also, Gilberto Silva Menendez.
Brenda Marquez McCool.
Luis Omar Ocasio Capo.
Xavier Emmanuel Serrano Renaud.
Angel Candelario Padro.
Enrique Rios.
Frankie Jimmy De Jesus Velasquez. Akira Monet Murray. Rest in peace.
Alejandra Barrios Martinez.
Miguel Angel Honorado.
Joel Rayon Panegua.
Stanley Almodovar III.
Paul Terrell Henry.
Simon Adrian Carrillo Fernandez.
Javier Jorge Reyes.
Kimberly Jean Morris.
Juan Chavez Martinez.
Antonio Brown. He went by Tony.
Rodolfo Ayala Ayala.
Martin Benitez Torres.
Louis D. Conde.
Jason Benjamin Josephat, and Juan Pablo Rivera Velasquez.
Eddie Jamal Droy Justice.
Mercedes Marisol Flores. Con amor.
Frank Hernandez.
Gerardo A. Ortiz Jimenez.
Yanmari Rodriguez Salotan. Donaka Didi Drayton.
Amanda Elvire, who dreamed of becoming a nurse.
Christopher Joseph Sanfeliz. Jean Carlos Mendez Perez.
Luis Sergio Vielma.
Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera. Jean Carlos Nieves Rodriguez.
Juan Ramon Guerrero.
Peter Ome Gonzalez Cruz.
Shane Evan Tomlinson, a talented singer. And Corey James Connell, an aspiring fireman.
Jonathan A. Camwee Vegas.
Luis Jimmy Wilson Leon.
Christopher Andrew Leinonen.
Darrell Roman Burt II.
Jerry Wright.
Oscar A. Aracena Montero.
Anthony Louis Loreno Disla. Stage name, Alanis Laurel.
Tevin Eugene Crosby, an ambitious businessman and entrepreneur.
Leroy Valentin Fernandez.
It's one of these anniversaries that we wish we did not have to celebrate. But before you all go home, I just want to also thank the Sarasota Police Department, who is around us, keeping everyone here safe as we enjoy spending a little quality time with each other despite the circumstances. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. Definitely hold and hug the ones that you love a little bit closer tonight.
Sorry about that.
These include vigils from around the world.
We're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round. You can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Ooh, mountains, we gon' walk it out and
legendary Darcel Stevens from Orlando, Florida. Both Throne House and Pulse were definitely a safe haven for all the gay and lesbian community. For everyone, it doesn't matter your orientation or whatever. Both places were safe havens. We lost 49 at Pulse. Parliament House is now gone. So our community, we all need to stick together and create safe havens.
I'm here tonight with Mr. Ken Sheelan, who has done tremendous things in the LGBTQ community here in Sarasota for countless years. In fact, he was just awarded the Key to the City. Was that, I believe, last week?
This past Monday night, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Nice surprise.
Yeah. Well, and what triggered you to start, on such an important venture?
Well, I got involved in politics in Sarasota. I never really came out as a gay person. I sort of oozed out, and it started to happen while I was on the Sarasota City Commission, because we were in a budget meeting one day and we started talking about health care benefits, and I thought, ooh, maybe we could get health care benefits for the domestic partners of city employees. I proposed it, the other commissioners bought it, and it's been in place for about 11 years now here in the city. And that got me started. I started traveling around this area, Southwest Florida, in Sarasota County and Venice and Northport and Punta Gorda and Cape Coral, trying to get LGBT-friendly legislation in place. I succeeded in a number of places, and some I didn't. So
That's tremendous, though. What a huge, that gives me goosebumps. That's incredible.
But this community here is such a beacon of caring for people. And it's been very easy. It kind of got me started, and it stimulated me, and it's kept me going.
That's incredible. And so tonight, we're here honoring the victims that were, of the Pulse Nightclub incident 5 years ago.
Right.
What do you feel is the importance? It is obviously important, but what do you feel is important about doing so?
Well, it's important never to forget the horrible thing that happened at Pulse, but the horrible things that have happened to gay people over the years and continue to happen. We're struggling even now in the state of Florida on transgender issues, and we've got to keep remembering the problems we've had in the past, the tragedies we've had in the past, the successes we've had in the past, so we can keep going and continue the effort to get full equality in our communities.
What do you think that people can do that maybe they're not affiliated with an organization as of yet? What could someone just watching this, where could they reach out to look for ways to help?
Well, the very simple thing to do is to vote.
Yeah.
It's to vote, and it's to vote in support of people and their lives, to make sure that people can live fully and successfully in our community. So they need to get out and vote and support candidates who are willing to stand up for those people.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for everything that you do and have done and continue to do.
I appreciate it. I love doing it.
Oh, it shows. Hello, I'm here with Jordan Letchert. He is the president of Project Pride. How are you tonight, Jordan?
We're doing great, thank you.
You did such an amazing job really kind of navigating this event tonight and hosting it, I would say. Why do you feel that, obviously it is an important day, but why do you feel it's so important that we commemorate and honor those that were afflicted on this year, or this night, 5 years ago at Pulse?
So for the LGBTQ community, there's two reasons. One, it was a direct impact on us, the largest mass shooting in our community's history. And also because there's so many shootings constantly, if we don't keep the memories of those alive, then they vanish. So it's important and incumbent upon us to keep their memories alive.
That's so true, and showing that, we're all in solidarity and we're backing behind that community. So you've been with Project Pride for about a year now?
Yes, that's right. I came on about a year ago.
And then you've already made a tremendous headway with the Project Pride? What else have you guys done that kind of sticks out? I know you've done a lot, but
Well, this past year, because of COVID, we really worked on our visibility campaign. So right behind us is the crosswalk that we did, our Pride Walk, which was sort of our anchor piece. We were able to get 75 banners up in downtown Sarasota that says Sarasota celebrates Pride. The city was able to issue the first June proclamation in the city's 108-year history. So we've been really proud on our alliances with both the businesses in the community and as well as the municipality.
now you are a business owner as well. Which business do you own again? Or-
I am. I have an investment company, but I'm one of the partners in Crunch Fitness.
Okay, that's pretty big. Yeah. So as a business owner, heavily involved in that world, what do you feel the importance is of, integrating business with the LGBTQ community?
Well, our motto, for instance, at Crunch is no judgments. And I think that pretty much sums it up, is really that you get to know people before passing judgment on them. You'll find out that you usually have far more in common with them than you would lead to believe.
I think that's absolutely true. And tonight we saw some incredible speakers. I mean, you were wonderful, but we also saw some really great speakers and such. Do you think we'll be able to do Project Pride will put on more events like this in the near future, or?
We will. Our goal is to be a year-round organization, not just in June. Obviously, we'll do some special events in June, but we'll do things year-round. This obviously is a somber occasion, but one that we proudly will do every year.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing what you've done, and we're looking forward to seeing everything that you do in the future.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You as well.
Well, that about wraps it up here at downtown Sarasota's Project Pride's Candlelight Vigil, honoring those who lost their lives and were injured in the Pulse nightclub incident 5 years ago today. We had a lineup of amazing speakers, amazing words were shared. The mayor was here, proclaimed this day National Pulse Day, and I think there are so many more wonderful things on the horizon that will continue to support the LGBTQ community here in Sarasota and beyond. Thank you.